Okay, let's dive into this. Picture this. A therapy where you just step into a special room, under pressure, and breathe. Sounds a bit sci-fi, maybe?
It really does, but it's a fascinating medical treatment called hyperbaric oxygen therapy, or HBO2.
You're right, HBO2.
And basically, it's breathing pure 100% oxygen inside a chamber where the air pressure is higher than normal, significantly higher.
Mm.
The sources we looked at had a great analogy. Think of the oxygen itself as a drug, and the chamber, that's the delivery device, carefully dosing your body.
A dosing device for oxygen.
Hmm.
Interesting. And it's not brand new, is it? I recall reading it has quite a history.
Oh, absolutely. Decades. Early on, it was crucial for things like decompression sickness, the bends divers can get,
Yeah.
and also serious infections like gas gangrene, even carbon monoxide poisoning. So it showed its versatility right from the start.
Okay, so it's used for a lot of different things. But what we want to do today is really get into the how, based on the sources. How does this environment, the pressure, the high oxygen, actually work inside the body?
Biologically. Exactly. Why does it help across such a wide range of conditions? That's the core question.
So you're in the chamber. What's the pressure doing first? Just the physical pressure?
Well, the first, most direct thing is purely physical. That increased pressure literally shrinks any gas bubbles that shouldn't be there in your body.
Shrinks them.
Yeah, like if someone has decompression sickness or an arterial gas embolism, air bubbles in the bloodstream, imagine squeezing a balloon. The pressure makes it smaller. Simple physics, really.
Got it. Squeezing the bubbles. But it's hyperbaric oxygen therapy. The oxygen must play a huge role too.
Oh, absolutely critical. Normally, oxygen hitches a ride on hemoglobin in your red blood cells, right? Under this high pressure, though, a massive amount of oxygen dissolves directly into the plasma, the liquid part of your blood.
So it's not just relying on the red blood cells anymore.
Exactly. It sort of bypasses the usual limits.
Yeah.
This superoxygenated plasma can then reach tissues that might have poor blood flow, delivering oxygen far beyond what's normally possible.
Okay, supersaturation. But you mentioned it's not just this immediate oxygen flood, right? There are longer-term effects.
That's where it gets really interesting. Over multiple sessions, days or weeks, the body starts making deeper changes. The sources describe these as biological, even pharmacological effects.
Pharmacological, like a drug causing a reaction.
Kind of, yeah. The sustained high oxygen levels trigger specific responses within the cells. It involves these molecules, reactive oxygen species, ROS, and reactive nitrogen species, RNS.
ROS and RNS.
Yeah.
I've heard of those, often in a negative context, like causing damage.
They can, in excess. But here, at the right levels generated by the therapy, they act as really important signaling molecules, like messengers.
Messengers telling cells what to do.
Precisely. They sort of flip switches, telling cells to start repair processes. This is huge for healing, especially in tricky situations like diabetic foot ulcers or tissue damage after radiation therapy.
Okay, how does it help the actual healing?
Two main ways stand out in the sources. First, it promotes angiogenesis.
Angiogenesis, that's building new blood vessels.
Exactly. Tiny new capillaries start to grow into the damaged area, bringing blood supply.
Like building new roads for supplies.
Perfect analogy. And second, it helps recruit the body's own stem cells. It sort of calls them to the site of injury and encourages them to become part of these new vessel walls. It stimulates growth factors that coordinate all this.
Wow, so it's rebuilding the infrastructure and calling in the repair crews. That makes sense for wound healing. What about, say, after a stroke or heart attack, when tissue has been starved of oxygen? Ischemia.
Yes, that's another key area. When blood flow is cut off and then returns, there can be a secondary problem. Immune cells, called neutrophils, can become really sticky.
Sticky neutrophils.
Yeah, and when blood flow comes back, they can actually clog up the smallest blood vessels, the capillaries, preventing blood from getting where it needs to go, like a traffic jam right when you need the road clear.
Okay.
HBO2 seems to make these neutrophils less sticky. It helps prevent that clogging, allowing blood flow to be restored more effectively to the injured tissue.
Reduces the traffic jam. Does it do other things for inflammation?
It does. It seems to have broader anti-inflammatory effects, kind of dampening down some of the excessive inflammatory signals that can cause further damage.
Okay, going back to those early uses like gas gangrene, how does it work against infections?
Well, it can directly harm or kill certain bacteria, especially anaerobes, the ones that hate oxygen. Gas gangrene is caused by those.
Makes sense. High oxygen would be bad for them.
Right. But it also boosts our own immune system. it helps our phagocytes, the cells that literally eat bacteria, become more effective killers.
So it helps our internal defenses work better.
Exactly. And there's more. It can actually help some antibiotics penetrate better, especially against biofilms.
Biofilms,
Where?
those slimy protective shields bacteria build.
That's them really tough structures. HBO2 can make bacteria within those biofilms more vulnerable to antibiotics, so it's attacking infections from multiple angles.
Directly killing some bugs, boosting our immunity, helping antibiotics. Quite the arsenal.
It really is. And there's one more mechanism, a really cutting-edge idea mentioned in the sources: mitochondrial transfer.
Wait, mitochondria, the power plants of the cell, transferring them.
Yeah, it sounds wild, doesn't it? The traditional view was they just stay inside their own cell, but newer research suggests cells might actually be able to share or donate mitochondria to neighboring cells.
Like passing along little energy packs.
Almost like a rescue mission, sending energy factories to cells that need help. The sources suggest HBO2 might enhance this process.
Why would that be useful?
Well, think about it. It could be a way for tissues to repair severe damage, maybe after a stroke, or perhaps make cells more resilient to stress, potentially even protecting healthy cells during chemotherapy, though that's still very much research territory.
It's amazing. Cells actually helping each other out like that.
It's a fascinating emerging concept.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this up. We've got the pressure shrinking bubbles, the massive oxygen delivery, the signaling molecules kicking off repair, new blood vessels, less sticky cells, fighting infections, and maybe even cells sharing mitochondria. What's the big picture takeaway for someone listening, maybe a patient or just someone curious?
I think the takeaway is that hyperbaric oxygen therapy isn't just one thing. It works through this complex interplay of physical effects, immediate oxygen boosts, and crucially, these longer-term signals that tap into the body's fundamental repair and defense mechanisms.
It's leveraging the body's own healing toolkit in multiple ways.
Exactly. Which helps explain why you see it used for such varied conditions, from a diving injury to a non-healing wound to potentially helping after a stroke. It's working at a pretty fundamental biological level.
Which leaves us, and you the listener, with something pretty profound to think about. This idea of cellular cooperation, of cells actively sharing vital parts like mitochondria.
Hmm.
What could harnessing that mean for future medicine? How deep does this cellular teamwork go, and how else might we tap into it?
It really opens up questions about resilience and repair that we're only just starting to explore.